So thank you for the great introduction. Today I'm going to be talking with you all about how to build a creative and compelling brand voice on social media and really what that means. So when we say creative and compelling, I think we all have ideas of what this means in our head. And like a lot of things, the best thing to look at is actually examples of brands who are already doing this work and what really distinguishes them in the marketplace. So my first example here is from the TSA. Yes, the people that go through your luggage and security check you at airports in the United States. Who knew that they had such a great Instagram account? So they post pictures of the things that they confiscate from people's bags, and then they make delightful content about it. So this particular post says, make no bones about it. No knives are allowed to be packed in on carry-on bags. I'd make a joke about it, but there's nothing humorous about trying to take prohibited items on a plane. They must all be packed in checked bags. This knife was found on a carry-on bag at Baltimore. So they often share kind of the ridiculous things that people should know better than to try to take on an airplane. And sometimes it kind of backfires on them because sometimes they do take away things that are kind of ridiculous. So like I mentioned, the TSA, their audience is super engaged with them, and they have fun with what they're doing. When you don't think of this organization, when you think of this organization, you don't think of fun, but here they are on Instagram having a good time. You may have seen Merriam-Webster on Twitter, right? Their dictionary. And this is actually an ad. And I want you to look at how many retweets and likes this ad has gotten. How many of us can barely get this many on a fun post that is not an ad? So here Merriam-Webster says, subscribe to the unabridged. You know it's good because the man in the stock photo looks so thoughtful. Here's the man in said stock photo. Then they followed it up with, take a minute to contemplate the expression on thoughtful unabridged stock photo man's face. He's learning so much. Again, the engagement on this is off the wall, and it's an ad. This is definitely creative and compelling. The next example here is the brand Keebler, and this is from their Facebook, and they take on the persona of the Keebler elves. So this guy got on and said, he says, I saw these crackers at a 99-cent store, maybe because they didn't sell at the grocery store, kind of making fun of them as not a great brand. But they even can respond as the elves to negative comments. And they responded to him and said, well, hi there. These delicious crackers are baked right in the hollow tree and then go straight into stores nationwide for fans to enjoy. Have an uncommonly good day, Javier. And of course, the fans just love this, and a whole bunch of people comment on how it's hilarious and how they do such a great job with their personas. And, the elves followed up again and said, oh boy, Stephanie, you sound just like me. Thanks for loving our uncommonly good crackers as much as we elves do. They don't lose this voice, no matter if they're getting praise or criticism. So how can you really bring this type of creative and compelling content on social media to your brand? Well, I have 5 tips for you of how to go about this. The first one is to find any brand voice guides that you may have, any style guides. Certainly you can take cues from design of how you should proceed with your voice, and also look at your brand's history. Look at why your brand was founded, who the community is, who the customers are. So the New York City Transit Authority, this is their branding guide. And when you look at it, it's kind of funky. It's a little 70s. And I think like if I was them, how would I play this into the voice I had on social media? My second tip is to create a persona for your social media account, right? This is what we saw with the Keebler elves. Well, Netflix, they do this with their TV show Jessica Jones, and they do it from Jessica's perspective. This is actually an image that they shared out on their social media accounts that I thought was like, this is exactly their persona. So they say, this is Jessica. Jessica's a private investigator, but encourages you to mind your own business. Jessica enjoys drinking whiskey at any hour of the day or night. Jessica does not know what Candy Crush is, and she doesn't give a shit. Be like Jessica or not, she really doesn't care. And when you go to their Twitter account, you see that they're engaging with their fans as if they are Jessica. There's references to drinking whiskey or not getting up, wanting to get up in the morning. Also, when people say they don't like the show, there's witty comebacks. My third tip is to make sure that you're using different content on different channels. So my example here is Taco Time Northwest. And on the left side is a Facebook post, and on the right side is a Twitter post. And on Facebook, they published this image, and the like little caption says, "The stuff you can find on Pinterest is crazy." And so here we have this image of this woman walking on this beach with a little inspirational saying, which is so very Pinteresty. But the inspirational saying says, "May your days be merry and long and given the bright, shining, effervescent glow of Taco Time combo meals." So it's twisting it on its head, having some humor in what they're doing. And over on Twitter, they didn't share this image, and they kind of engage with their audience in a little different way. And instead, they have this post, which says, "We do not accept CD mixtapes as payment at our drive-thru, regardless of how heartfelt or meticulously curated they are." And their audience clearly loves this and loves engaging in this manner. And if you go through this, like this particular tweet, people are like, "Can I bring you an 8-track? Can I bring you a cassette tape? Like, can we make a compromise here?" And it's a lot of fun. So my fourth tip is to look at your competitors and see what they aren't doing. So when it comes to magazines targeted at teenage girls in the United States, Teen Vogue is just leading the pack here. So they are, looking at what teenage girls are caring about, and you can tell in how many social media shares that they're getting and how popular their articles are. So here they have on Twitter, they're saying, "We're quickly starting to see the dangerous effects of President Trump's America." It's an article about birth control being covered by healthcare plans. And when you can go to their competitor page, their competitor, so like 17 is one of their competitors, you can see that the content is less engaged with, and they're kind of doing the like traditional what adults think teenage girls are into, like makeup. So here you have new eyeshadow palette, a warm tone lover's dream, and it has way less engagement. People are not really talking about 17 as a brand. And I didn't just like pick out the worst performing tweet on their page. This actually was one of the better ones. But you can tell by their topics are like makeup, or is Justin Bieber back on Instagram, and things that are clearly not resonating as well as the articles that Teen Vogue is putting out. So my final tip, number 5, is that you don't always ask permission when you are the person on social media. You need to get it done. Unfortunately, a lot of brands out there have a lot of layers of authorization. Your boss's boss's boss has to sign off on a tweet or a Facebook post or an Instagram or a Snapchat or wherever you are on social media. And it doesn't make sense if you're trying to be a nimble brand, and it doesn't make sense when you're connecting with your audience. And sometimes you got to rile things up. So recently at the Badlands National Park, they riled up President Trump a little bit, who was their boss's 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 boss. And they tweeted out things that were completely on brand for a national park. So things about ocean acidity and climate change. These tweets are now taken down, but if you look at the engagement on them, they have thousands of retweets. I think any brand would be over the moon to get this sort of engagement. So sometimes not asking for permission is going to get you a lot of attention. So overall, as you can see, being creative and compelling really means that you need to be taking risks. And those risks can ultimately be really rewarding for your brand. So the first part of why it's rewarding is brand equity. So you're building that trust with your community. You're building your competitiveness in the marketplace. You're showing up for your industry when you should be there, and people are going to remember you. And that your community, they're going to come to you when they need a product or whatever it is you do. They're going to come to you for that expertise. And as a community manager, as a social media manager, being able to take a brand to the next step is going to really help you with your career. So for those of you that are like, "Ooh, what can I do? How can I take that next step?" That's certainly a way to do it. And then, ultimately, if you do have a creative and compelling brand, you're probably going to have a brand that really supports your community. Maybe it really supports the whole entire ecosystem of an industry you're in, and it can really help you feel as an employee that you've made the right choice, but also be able to stand up when there's important issues. So this is an example from the brand I now work for, CMX. And our CEO made a post to our community about the immigration ban and how it was against our company values and how we knew there were people in our community affected by this. And so we were able to have this dialogue with our community that if we didn't have those values, if we didn't say like, this is what we stand for, we wouldn't necessarily be able to have this sort of deep conversation with our community. So thank you all so much. If you have questions, like we're going to do questions later, it'll be awesome. But you can also reach out to me personally. Thanks.